from where the company will be getting the finance and where the company will be using the finance. For getting finance, there are, you can say, many options. I can issue shares. If I am a listed company, I can issue shares in the market to general public. If I am not listed like Saraf Academy, I can give shares to anybody who want to invest in my company, my relatives or anybody. Generally, I cannot issue shares to general public if I am not listed. I can go for bank loan. Even a listed company can go for bank loan. A listed company can issue debentures in the market. A company can purchase the goods on credit, assets on credit. There are many options. Why we want money? For growing our business. Whatever we are, if we are earning X, if we are having X, we want to make it 2X, 3X, 4X, 5X, whatever we say. So investment decisions, where we should be investing our money so that we can grow. And for investment, we require funds. Now the question is that any company which is already there in existence for many years, for a long period, they have already, suppose in Saraf Academy, me and my wife are the shareholder. When the company is earning anything, the company needs to give some return to the investor. In Reliance, I am the shareholder, you are the shareholder. We should be getting some return from the company. The return is in the form of dividend or maybe in the form of increase in the share price. In case of listed company, the return can be increase in share price. But in case of a private company like Saraf Academy, not listed in the stock exchange, the return can be in the form of dividend only. The problem arises that, suppose in Saraf Academy, there are investment opportunities. I can invest my money in different projects, different options are there. If I will be raising money from outside, bank loan and all that, then I need to give security of my assets. There will be interest commitment and all that. I don't want that. So whatever earnings Saraf Academy has generated in 2020-21 year, whatever the profit we have generated, that profit we want to invest in the business. But then if the profit is invested in the business, then the owners, Prakash Saraf, Vidisha Saraf, will not be getting any return because my company share is not listed in the stock exchange. I will not be getting any return by increase in the share price. I will be getting return only by dividend only. Even in Reliance also, maybe they have very good projects where they want to invest. But if the profit which they have generated, if they don't give to shareholders as dividend, then only that can be invested in the business. If they give to the shareholders as dividend, then Reliance also has to raise money from outside. So the problem arises that whether the profit which is generated in the business should be given to the shareholders as a dividend, should be distributed to the shareholders, or whether should be invested in the business is a big question which any finance manager need to decide, which any finance person need to decide. Now we cannot say that the dividend should be more, less, what should be the amount of dividend, how it is going to affect, because if I am doing a project with my earned income, with my earnings which I have generated in business, the cost of that money is very low. But if I am going for loan, debt or anything, then commitment and all that increases. So I don't want to do a project with outside money. I want to do the project with my own earned money. Then in that case, I will not be able to give dividend. How I will convince my shareholders? What should be done? Whether the dividend should be more or high. So source of funds is not only external, share issue, bond issue, debentures, anything. It can be internal also. And your investment decision, wherever you will be investing your money, depends upon from where money is coming. If I am taking bank loan, the cost of funds is different. If I am using my own internal profit, the cost of funds is different. If I am using shares money, share issue, the cost of funds is different. And the investment decision will depend upon at what rate I am able to arrange the funds. In simple, forget about technical language which I am saying. Suppose I want to grow in Saraf Academy. There is a new tuition center. I want to invest in a new technology for giving classes to student, new software. The software will require 2 crore investment. In the software 2 crore investment, by that there will be increase in the number of students by 50% and all that will be happening. But the question arises that from where I will be getting 2 crore. Whether I can issue shares, whether Prakash Saraf, Vidisha Saraf can give in further money to the company, whether I need to take loan, whether the profit which I have generated should be used in the business, what? because my decision to invest 2 crore depend upon from where I will be getting money. So the finance manager or a finance person need to have a very sound understanding source of funds, debt, equity, internal, and where the money should be invested. That knowledge he need to possess. At the same time, a finance manager need to have understanding of day-to-day financial needs. Day-to-day financial needs means basically working capital, inventory, receivables. All these also require regular investments. They go on fluctuating every time. What should be the level of inventory? What should be the level of cash and bank balance for doing our business operations? If a company is having foreign operations, foreign currency dealing, foreign currency cash inflows, outflows, how they should be managed, how the hedging should be done, that if there is a changes in the foreign exchange rate, we can safeguard our business. Whatever happen, that is the job of the finance manager only. So the finance manager, from top to bottom, from beginning till the end, all the financial matter in the organization he need to deal. In a bigger company, there is a finance director. Under the finance director, there may be a finance manager. Under the finance manager, maybe there is a treasury department separately. Treasury will be mainly dealing with source of fund. Treasury will be mainly dealing with cash management, foreign exchange risk. All these things they will be managing. In a small company, only one person managing finance. I'm not in a position to say small means which amount and all that. It depends upon our operations and everything. Maybe a company big, but they have only one single product. They are doing global business, but they have basically very structured approach. There is not so much use of finance. Maybe one person can handle those things. But I mean to say that it's a very lucrative area, because anybody who study accounting, business and finance, normally the persons are interested in working in finance, forex, or maybe business valuations. The growth can be possible by purchasing or developing assets, or the growth is possible by acquiring some another organization. If we develop our own assets, it's called organic growth. But if we acquire another organization, it is called inorganic growth. For organic, inorganic, both we require funds. But inorganic require valuation, mergers, synergistic benefit. All these things also need to be decided by the finance manager. A finance manager is a backbone of any organization. In a bigger organization, so many directors are there. There are directors who are very much, I mean to say, IT type of person, engineering type of person, marketing type of person, never studied finance, but a finance manager need to say them all the things in such a way that they will be able to understand. Even though they have not studied finance, but me as a finance manager in the organization should be communicating with other persons, other directors, managers who have never studied finance, but all these things I need to explain them, so that they will be able to help me, or all the directors will be helping the organization to grow. Because finance is the lifeblood of any business. Maybe in my PL account, profit is 1 crore, but the cash and bank balance is nothing. Where the money is gone? Why the cash balance is not there? Because for doing business, for investing anywhere, for giving dividend to shareholders, I require cash. So finance is management of cash. Finance is management of finance. That they have written in the first topic, source of fund, investment, from where the source can be done. Whilst thinking about source of fund, what are the things we need to consider? A basic understanding they have given. And they have covered that in separate topic. For investment, there is investment appraisal, 5-6 topics. For source of fund, there is debt, there is equity. For business valuation, for risk management, there are separate topics there. So once the student understand, or anybody understand the basic, the detailed source of fund, automatically the first topic theory 99% finish. It's a theoretical area, first topic, but it is basically dependent on your entire knowledge of the subject. So I generally say that if I will complete the entire syllabus, the first topic actually we don't have to study, don't have to teach. Maybe just 5-7 minutes I will be going through the pages that these are included. You will realize that that is automatically studied. Some economical area, that is budget deficit, or I can say RBI policies, monetary policy, fiscal policies, because that also affect the financial decision. Maybe that will not be covered by studying the separate topics. That need to be studied in the class separately, so that we will be able to handle those also in the exam. A finance person should have some basic knowledge of economics, inflation, interest rates, monetary policy, fiscal deficit. Then if the government RBI increases the interest rate, reduces interest rate, if the government increases taxes, reduces taxes, what will be the effect on the economy? What will be the effect on our business? What will be the effect on our earnings? That the finance manager need to have some basic understanding. So some economic part are there, which I will deal later at the end, because once you have understanding of basic finance, then economics will be easier, because we are not going to study economics. We are going to study economics with a perspective of finance. That is use of economics in finance, that we are going to study. So if our financial knowledge is there, then we will be able to study economics. That is at the end. So as I said in the beginning only, the syllabus, the last two classes will be on theoretical part, first topic economical and all that we will discuss later. And we are starting with investment decisions, because it is a backbone of most of the entire, you can say, suppose as per Kaplan there are 20 topics. In 18 topics, the knowledge of investment decisions will be required. Maybe the investment decisions categorically, specifically are 5-6 topics. But when you do source of finance, when you do valuations, when you do forex, interest rate, everything, the basic investment decisions technique you should be knowing, so that you can understand that concept faster. So it's not that I have the interest to teach this investment decision earlier. We have to study this first, then only we can proceed further. For that reason, investment decisions we are doing first. So investment decision. Now there are two types of investment decision. One is short-term investment decision and one is long-term. Short-term investment decision means there is a new order received from a customer. He has never purchased from us, but he is asking for discount. Whether we should give him discount, whether we should accept the offer, or maybe we can say that short-term decision means we are purchasing raw material from a particular place regularly, but that the supplier who is supplying raw material regularly is having problem. We are going to purchase from other place from where to purchase. Short-term decisions are going to affect the organization for that moment only. Maybe for 2 months, 3 months maximum. But long-term decisions are going to affect the organization forever. Here in finance, we are studying long-term decisions. The short-term decision is covered in the performance management, that is F5 paper. In CMA US students, the short-term decision making I have started in the Saturday class. So short-term decisions is a different area. Long-term decision we are discussing. No issue. So short-term decision, I will say that short-term decisions are based on different concepts. Some concepts are common, but long-term decision is totally different. What is different? Long-term decisions, because that is our area we are going to discuss. Long-term decisions mainly based on cash flow. Time value of money need to be considered. More risky, because if suppose I have sold goods to a customer for a new order, maybe I am suffering loss in that order only. But if I am taking a wrong long-term decision, then it will affect my whole life. My whole life will be affected because of that. And what will happen tomorrow, day after tomorrow, you can imagine very well. There is no contingency as such. But what will happen after 3 years, 4 years? We are not God. Nobody knows that in 2020 Corona will be there. If somebody has decided something to do in 2017-18, but because of Corona, everything happens. Nobody can project that. So long-term decisions are difficult to take. Risk is there. You can't imagine anything what will happen after 2-3 years with 100% surety. Contingencies are more. They are difficult to take. And you cannot be 100% sure in any long-term decision. But still we want to apply our all brains, all skill, that long-term decisions should be correct. For doing a long-term decisions, for taking a long-term decision, first we need to analyze long-term objectives, mission, vision of the company. What project I will be doing, what long-term decisions I will be taking. Before going into that, the first thing is that what is my business? My business is providing training classes. I generally will not be doing anything which is not related with training classes. I will be doing something for coming 2 years, 4 years, 5 years down the road relating to education only, because that is my cup of tea. In that area, I am very knowledgeable, and my company's website, the mission vision is written relating to education only. So I will not be doing any project which is manufacturing of something, iron and steel or anything, nothing. Because that is not my cup of tea. That is not my mission. That is not my vision. That is not my long-term objectives to achieve. If I am talking about big conglomerates, Tata, Birla, Ambani's and all that, they are doing everything. They are doing every type of business, whether it's education, whether it's IT, whether it's whatever you say. They are doing everything. Because they have huge money, and even though we are saying they have huge money, but even they are facing always problem that the money is limited. They want to do that also, this also, this also. They need to decide where they should be using their money. But always the first thing any finance manager need to look for, what is the company's business, what they want to achieve in future, what is their 4-year, 5 years, 10 years plan, what is their mission, what is their vision. That they need to understand. Then only the decision about any investment can be done. Now this vision analysis and all that is in professional level, not in finance, in a strategic business leader case study. It was there something slightly Samsuddin in BT, business technology, or I can say accounting in business. Because a finance decision cannot be taken in isolation. A finance decision first of all required that we should be having understanding what is our business. What do we want to achieve? What is our goal? What is our 5 years, 10 years goals? On that basis, the capital investment decisions or the long-term decision can be taken. Never we should be taking any capital investment decision which is not in line with the company's long-term targets, which is not in line with the company's long-term business strategy, because it will be definitely unsuccessful. If we want to be successful, then we should be doing projects in those areas which are related with our long-term mission, vision, related with our business. That's the first thing. In any long-term decision, we need to see that if it is satisfying our mission, vision or everything, that is as per our strategy, it is fulfilling. But we will have many options. Always, because never you will find that there is one thing which you want to do to achieve your target, to achieve your mission, vision. There are many options. There are many things you can do. I can say, suppose you can build your own plant and machinery organic, or you can take over another organization. But you will not be doing both because both are same. They are mutually exclusive. You have to do any one. Maybe you can invest your money at this place, at this place, at this place. Options are there. Whenever we take any long-term decisions, first of all, we need to deal with the options. For each option, we need to do analysis. What are the analysis? We see A, financial analysis, B, technical analysis, C, marketing analysis, D, economic analysis. Financial analysis is the entire syllabus. But technical analysis, if we are thinking something, whether it is technically feasible, whether it can be done, whether we have the resources to develop it. Because if technically it is not feasible, then so we are thinking in a wrong direction. When I will invest my money, when I will not be able to do that, then whole money will be wasted. The technical analysis can be done by a technical person, engineer type of person, you can say. Marketing analysis for the project where I am going to invest my money, maybe take over, maybe I am going to develop on my own. Whether there will be a demand of that product in the market or that services. For making that product, whatever the resources are required, whether they will be available in the market, a marketing analysis need to be done. Economic analysis, we generally say how the project is going to be beneficial for the society. Whether it is good for the society, bad for the society. Because if any project is good for the society, recycling or something, then the government will be helping you with a lower rate interest loan. There are many things government will be helping you. But if the project is not beneficial for society, there will be adverse problem you will be facing from the society, from the government. So you need to do an economic analysis also. When there are many projects available, obviously you have limited funds. You have different options. Those options are as per your guidelines of mission vision. But you need to analyze all those options under a different angle, which we say as financial, technical, marketing and economic analysis. Under that, the main part is what? Financial analysis. Financial analysis means what is the investment in the project? What will be the inflows I will be getting by doing the project? For how many years? And whether the inflows are sufficient for whatever I am going to invest, whether I should be doing this project. I always say that, or anybody, even though suppose any organization is a not for profit oriented. Suppose it's ACC Institute. They are going to do a project, investment will be $100 million. If they are not able to get a proper return, or maybe not return, at least $100 million back, they should not be doing the project. Because if you cannot cover your investment, then even it is not viable for a not-for-profit oriented organization also. For Reliance or any company, the profit should be there, the return should be there. But a not-for-profit oriented, or at least it should not be giving loss. So the financial analysis involves whatever investment we need to do in the project, whether it will be covering that investment, whether the inflows will cover that investment or not, that is called financial analysis. And for that, a whole lot of working is required. What will be the investment? How many years the project will be running? For those years, what will be my cash inflows? What will be my inflows? For every year, there will be some expenditures also. So what will be the net cash inflows? And all that we need to forecast. A financial analysis need to be done properly. Maybe for doing financial analysis, a finance manager required the help of others also. Because what will be the quantity of sale of a particular product or service? I cannot say as a finance manager. The marketing person, production person, the engineers and all that need to help me. So the financial analysis I will be doing. But I want the help of others in the area in which I don't have knowledge. So they will be helping me. Then only the financial analysis can be done. That is outflows and inflow analysis. What will be the outflow? What will be the inflow? That I need to forecast as a finance manager. And on the basis of outflows and inflows, there are different selection technique. फिर से मैंने बोला कि भाई chatting should be to everyone. No personal chatting. No issue. Chatting should be done to everyone. Whenever anybody will chat, then you need to chat to everyone. Okay? Not an issue. So outflows and inflows analysis need to be done. With the outflow and inflow, there are different methods. How can we decide that whether the inflows are adequate or not? They are not adequate. The project should not be done and all that, which we say as selection. We say that first of all, a project should be financially viable. Then only we can think of technical, marketing, economic analysis and everything. If the project is not viable, if the project outflows are not covered by the inflows, the project should not be done. Neither by any government also. You cannot sustain if you cannot cover your expenditure. You have to be at least at break even. So for selection, first of all, the financial angle selection is required. Then only the other angle will be thought in the project. The selection. There are many methods for selection. Okay? Many. We will discuss all those methods, which will take 6-7 classes. Many methods for selection. Every method has their advantage, disadvantage and everything. We need to discuss. So all those methods we will apply, we will discuss which method is appropriate in which situation. Then we will decide whether the project should be done or not. I will say that many times inflows are qualitative. Inflows are qualitative. Qualitative means it is very difficult to quantify the value. Suppose by doing a project, the company's image, brand will build up. But because of that image, brand, how many customers, how many new sales revenue we will be getting? God knows. Suppose because of the new project, the customers will be more satisfied. Now, satisfaction cannot be measured in monetary terms. But definitely, when more satisfaction, more revenue will be there, but it is very subjective. Very subjective. In a question in exam, the figures are given, you are doing the calculation, you said you have done correct. Very well. But in the practical life, the figures are not ready. In the practical life, you need to develop the figures, which is very challenging. Whether you give any exam, the highest level, the figures are given in the question. But in the practical life, the figures are not given. And you need to take whole lot of time to generate the figures, to convert a qualitative figure into a quantitative figure, to convert something in value will take huge lot of efforts and time. And then only we can decide whether the project should be done or not. Once we decide that, we will be doing a project. Once we decide, we will do a project. Because we have done financial analysis, all analysis, and we have selected on the basis of selection, the board of directors has given the approval, we decide to do a project. Project implementation. Project implementation means if I have decided that I will be doing something, it will take time. There are different works I need to complete. There will be flow of funds. There will be investment required. So I need to have the funds. I need to do the work. The work will be done by different persons. A proper project implementation schedule need to be prepared so that time overrun and cost overrun can be avoided. Time overrun and cost overrun. If something need to be done in 3 months, it has to be done in 3 months. If it is not done in 3 months, it's a failure. If something need to be completed in 100 rupees, $100, it should be completed in 100 only. If it is done in $120, it's a failure. So during implementation, if we are chocus, if we are thinking that the work should be done in time and within cost, then only the project will be successful. Otherwise not. And once the project is implemented, it starts giving income, revenue, the production from the project starts. Then review. Review means what? Whatever you have done, whether you have done correct, whether you have taken the correct long-term decisions, is the outcome from the project is same what you projected, where you have done mistakes. Always, even though something you are successful, you will find that ye cheez I could have done like this. This would be giving me better income. This would be reducing my cost and all that. So you always review a project once it is implemented and take a call for future that in future I will not be repeating this mistake, which is called learning from mistakes. There is a project audit report also prepared. There are certain outside persons are appointed in the organization to do the review, to do the auditing of the project. So that future project, whenever we will be doing, we should not be repeating the mistakes. We should not be doing those mistakes. This project decision making, investment decision making is not a one day affair. It's a never ending process in any organization. I say that this is covered by the word passive. Planning, analysis, selection, implementation, review. Planning means based on your mission, vision, goals and objectives. There are many projects which are possible. There are many options which the company need to decide. Planning. That is preliminary screening of what are the options available with the organization. Then doing the analysis of all those possible options. Technical analysis, financial analysis, marketing analysis, economic analysis, all analysis. After doing the analysis, we will select out of them one or two. And then once the selection is done, we will implement. During implementation, we need to check that cost and time overruns should not be done, should not be happening. And then review. Review means once the project is completed, it is implemented, we are reviewing. Whatever decision we have taken, we have done in the right direction and it is giving us the proper outcome. Whatever we projected, that is actually happening. All this is happening or not, where we have done mistake, where we need to improve in future, that is called review. It's a never ending process in any organization and that is treated as project investment decision. Now, you cannot write in the exam passive. Passive is just a word to remember. P for planning, A for analysis, S for selection, I for implementation, R for review. So that if any theoretical question in part C comes and you need to write theory, you will be able to discuss about them. Or maybe not in exam, in practical life, you are involved in the project decision making, you are working as a finance manager in a company and you are as a head of a project manager, then in that case you need to decide about planning, analysis, selection, implementation, review. Because not a single project can be done without these 5 analyses. Then comes the basic investment appraisal. That means if you want to say that I will be selecting the project based on basic technique, which is called payback period and accounting rate of return, which is called payback period and accounting rate of return, or you want to go into advanced technique, the advanced technique are NPV, IRR, discounted payback period, NPV, IRR, discounted payback period, or many other methods are there, profitability index, etc., etc. Under advanced technique, they are more advanced and they are generally used in decision making. But the basic investment techniques are also used in selecting whether a project should be done or not. I will say that practically, if I am deciding about a project for any organization, I will do the analysis on the basis of all. I will calculate all because every method has its own advantage and disadvantage. For that reason, I will be doing my analysis on the basis of all the methods. Out of all these methods, ARR, ARR is based on profit and all other methods are based on cash flow. Whether it's a basic investment appraisal, whether it's an advanced technique, out of all the methods, only ARR is an accounting method based on income. But payback period, discounted payback period, NPV, IRR, profitability index, others are also there. All are based on cash flow. So the question arises that first of all, profit versus cash flow. What is the difference? In any organization balance sheet, PL account, any sir. If you see the balance sheet liability side, equity. Under equity, retained earnings. Suppose in Saraf Academy, retained earnings is 50 lakh. But the cash and bank balance is never 50 lakh. It may be greater than 50 lakh. It may be less than 50 lakh. The accounting profit is based on accounting principles. Accounting, I'm not saying accounting is good or bad, but for the same transaction, the accounting can be done in a different way. The accounting profit can be manipulated. Even though so many IAS, IFRS are there, but it can be manipulated. You can change your depreciation. You can change the asset value. You can change the depreciation amount for income. You can change your inventory valuation. You can change the policies relating to provisions, recording of that. So many accounting standards are there. So the profit for, I will say that suppose I am a very good accountant and I am preparing financial statement for you. I should be asking you what profit you want in your books. I should not be saying that this is the profit. I should be saying what is the profit. Because you must have heard a joke that there are 2-3 persons going in the job interview. The one person is saying profit is this, profit is that. The other person is saying that what profit you want. I will bring that only. That's the job of the accountant, the knowledgeable persons. So you can say that profit is not an income. Profit is not a cash flow. Profit is, you can say, different policies and all that which you are following, which is giving you income. But when we are reporting to shareholders, suppose Reliance company is saying something in the market, they will be saying PL account balance sheet only. PL account balance sheet is public documents. We are never saying to outsiders what is our cash flow in a project or anything. Never. We are not bound. But the decision should be taken based on cash flow. What will be the cash inflow, cash outflow? The decision should not be taken on the profit. But in a company, if you are saying, say, CNBC, if you are any news channel where they are talking about a company's profit arrow up 10%, this up, automatically a good feeling comes. The market considers profit as a very important factor. And in a company, the managers, directors, remuneration based on what profit the company is earning. So the profit is taken or you can used by the shareholders for analyzing the performance of the company. And profit is a basis for giving remuneration to the board of directors, managers. So when we know that the profit shareholder will be analyzing, the profit directors will be analyzing, why not the project decisions should be taken based on profit? Why? Why not the profit should be the basis for taking investment decisions? But we understand that profit is manipulative. We understand that profit is not a cash inflow. So we understand that we cannot take final decision about a profit project only on the basis of profit. We need to have cash flows for taking decisions. So when we say profit, then the advantage is that we are analyzing the project based on what the public think, based on which the directors are getting remuneration and all that. So it's good. But when we say disadvantage, we say that profit is nothing. It's an hypothetical figure. It is not a cash inflow, cash outflow, nothing. So the decision about a project should not be taken based on profit, but it should be taken based on cash flow. And it's not only cash flow, it's basically relevant cash flow. What is relevant cash flow? I'm not discussing today. We will be discussing in the next class. But when I will discuss cash flow in total, then I will be discussing about relevant cash flow only. So accounting rate of return says that average profit before interest and tax divided by average investment. You can say into 100 to get it into percentage. Why we are taking profit before interest? The question is simple, that when we are investing in a project, either the shareholder money or the loan provider, for project analysis, we are not looking that who has given the money, whether it's a loan, whether it's a shareholder money. On the money which we are investing in the project, from wherever we are getting, what is the profit I will be getting without paying any interest, anything. Why we are not considering tax? Because tax is a tax planning point. Maybe a company is earning very well but paying less tax because they have some tax planning done better way. So that's a different thing. Obviously, tax management is the job of the finance manager or treasury manager only. But for analyzing whether the investment should be done in the project, we analyze profit before interest and tax. Average means what? Suppose a project will be done for 5 years. You will be doing a project now, it will be running for 5 years. So in 5 years, whatever will be the profit every year, we will add all the 5-year profit divided by 5. Will give you average profit. Average investment, sometimes in place of average investment, we take initial investment. In the question, it will be said. If the question is silent, you will be taking average investment. What is average investment? Suppose in a project, I am investing $1 lakh now. The project is 5 years. After 5 years, the salvage value of the assets will be, say, 10,000. So average investment will be 1 lakh plus 10,000, the whole thing by 2. Why by 2? Because 2 figures. Average of 2 figures is add divided by 2. The profit is of 5 figures. Average all 5 added divided by 5. So if you take average investment, then it is initial investment plus salvage value divided by 2. Many times we calculate ARR based on initial investment, then it is average profit before interest and tax divided by initial investment. In a numerical question in exam, whether in the book they have said or not, that's other thing. But in the question in exam, they will be definitely telling you whether you will be taking average investment or whether you will be taking initial investment, what you will be doing. It's not a good method because it is not considering cash flow. It is considering profit, which is manipulated by accounting policies and all that. But it is easy to understand. Even to a non-accountant, even to an engineer, even to an IT person, he will be able to understand. Understand in the sense he is simple. He is thinking that it is simple. Yeah, the project is giving 10% return, 20% return, 15% return. Okay. And it is very much related with, in the market, the share price moves on the profit. So if the project is going to give average return good, then it will have a positive impact on the share price. And we can say that the directors, board members, managers get the remuneration based on what profit the company will be generating. So if a project is going to give good return, then the director remuneration and all that will be increasing. They will be working better. They will be working more efficiently. They will be certified. They will be motivated. So that way it is good. But it is bad because of accounting policy. It does not consider a time value of money. Time value of money means what? $1 today, $1 after 1 year, $1 after 2 years. All are $1, but they are not same. Today $1 I can purchase goods and services today. But $1 after 1 year I cannot purchase goods and services today. So $1 today is more valuable than $1 after 1 year from now. Here we are not considering that time value of money. Whereas long-term investment should be considering time value of money for a decision making. So accounting rate of return is good. It is required to have analyzing our effect on the financials of the project. But then only based on accounting rate of return, the decision about the project should not be taken. payback period, not based on accounting income, based on cash flow, based on cash flow means when we will get back our investment. If we are investing in a project, say $1 lakh, the project will be running for 5 years. The $1 lakh, in how many years we will be getting back from the project? Maybe suppose first year we are going to get cash flow 20,000. Second year 30,000. 20 plus 30, 50. So in 2 years out of 1 lakh, I have covered 50,000. Still balance left. In how many years I will be able to get my investment? How you will be able to understand this payback? Suppose I will ask anybody in the class, you are investing your money somewhere and you will get back your money in 6 months only. And you are investing your money at somewhere else where you will get back your money in 5 years. Where you will invest your money. I'm not talking about return. I'm not talking about income. I'm talking about whatever you are investing. In one place, you will get back your money in 6 months. In another place, you will get back your money in 5 years. Where you want to invest your money? It's a simple thing. Because whenever you say that you will be able to get back your money fast, that means the risk is very less. Cool. Because I will be able to get back my money as fast as possible. I always want. I always want. Because what will happen after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, we can forecast in a better way. But what will happen after 5 years? God knows. So we always say that a project is less risky, very easy, when the payback period is very less. When you will get back your money faster. But there is no definition that what should be the payback period in any project. There is no definition that what should be the accounting rate of return. For suppose for Maharanama, for you the payback period is say 2 years. For me it is 3 years. For Samsuddin it is 1 year. Why it is 1 year, 2 year, 3 year? There is no logic. It's just that my understanding. I'm not saying that we will not get any return. I'm saying that for the time being, we are not talking about return. We are talking about just whatever we are investing when we will get back. Obviously, nobody will do any project if you don't get any return. But whatever money you are investing, if you that money you will be able to get back as fast as possible, you will be very satisfied to do that project. I'm not talking that we will be doing in a project where return is not there. Why I will invest my money? But if in a project return is there, whatever is the return for the time being, ceteris paribus, forget. But I'm getting my money back in one project in 6 months and in another project in 5 years. There is no question second. I should be doing the project in which I am getting my money 6 months back. For that reason I am saying. I'm not saying that we will be doing a project without getting return. So can we say that payback period is a very bad method? It does not think about return. It just think about when you get back your investment. From your point only, I am saying this is the disadvantage of this method. But it is a good method in cash flow terms because it is not based on profit. It is a good method in terms of analyzing risk. If any project is giving you money faster, that means it's a very good project. So risk wise, it's good analysis. If you have already scarcity of funds, problem of funds, you want to do a project where the money will be received faster, you will get back your money faster. If you have many other opportunities coming in future, if you do a project now which will be giving you money faster, then you want to do that project. But it is not considering the total income. It is not considering the total cash flow. It is not considering the time value of money. I am investing $1 now and I will get $1 in 3 years. There is a time value of money. $1 today is more valuable than $1 after 3 years. There is a difference, but we are not considering that. There is not a single method which we will discuss has only advantages. Every method has advantage and disadvantage. Every method. But every method has advantages, understand. So because of those advantages, the method should be used. Because of the disadvantages, the method should not be used. So practically, the project decisions are taken based on all the methods, not a single method. But in exam, we need to consider exactly calculation what they are asking. We will not be doing every calculation if they are not asking. Now, recently, Institute has shared a separate type of material. Institute, I am saying ACCA Institute, has shared a different type of material, FM Short Notes 2021. FM Short Notes 2021 means whatever is written in a study text, say around 700, 800, 900 pages, then that is written by the institute in around 100 and 120 pages, 130 pages, short notes, which I will be regularly using in the class, which is already incorporated in the notes. If you have not received it, don't worry, my team will be giving all the notes again to everybody, even though you have received it then also. That is these notes, FM short notes, which is of 117 pages, shared by the institute only. In this, they have written what is investment appraisal, capital expenditure, revenue expenditure, then the investment decision process, passive planning analysis, selection, different types of analysis, qualitative things and all that. Okay. And then they are saying basic. I have said all the things in my own language. I have not read from here. Sometimes I will be reading those things in the class where I found that the student will not be able to understand after reading them. For that reason, I have not read that, because they are plain simple English written. Basic method, accounting rate of return, payback. Accounting rate of return. The earnings of the yes. The earnings of a project expressed as a percentage of the capital outlay or average investment. Average return as a percentage of average investment. Accounting rate of return, average annual profit by average investment, or alternatively average annual profit divided by, one is initial investment, one is average investment. Average investment is initial plus scrap value by 2. If the accounting rate of return is greater than the target accounting rate of return, we will accept the target accounting rate of return has to be given in the question. There is no formula. And if the accounting rate of return is less than the target rate of return, we should reject the project. Project with higher ARR should be preferred. If there are two projects, we need to select one where the accounting rate of return higher. You will be accepting that only. The advantages of this method: it considers readily available accounting information. You don't have to separately calculate cash flow. The profit which is calculated in the books can be used. That why eliminating the need of any other additional working. ARR is simple to calculate and easy to understand. There is no technical knowledge required for understanding ARR or calculating ARR. It takes into account the whole life of the project, 5 years, 5-year average income. It can be used as a relative measure in case of mutually exclusive projects. If there are two projects, you want to decide any one, you cannot do both. You should not, because both are same. So you will be deciding based on IRR. The expected profitability of a project can be compared with the present profitability of the business. The expected profitability of the project can be compared with the, suppose presently my business accounting rate of return is 20%. So I will not be doing any new project where the return will be, accounting rate of return will be less than 20%. Because then in that case, after doing the project, ARR will be, my total return will be less than 20. So I will be doing only those projects where my new project return will be greater than existing return. Disadvantage: it does not consider a time value of money, ignores timing. It includes sunk cost. At this point, sunk cost and all that we will discuss in the next class in the relevant cash flow. But these are a disadvantage, because all these are based on understanding of relevant cash flow. Accounting rate of return calculations are based on accounting profit, which can be easily manipulated. Profit kamti basic karna is in our hand. It ignores size of the investment, length of the project. Suppose in a project, ARR is 20%. In another project, ARR is 12%. You will say 20% is better. But in the 20% project, the ARR income is $1,000. And in a 12% project, The income is $1 million. Percentages are not giving us any feeling. The percentages are not absolute figure. They are percentage. In a very small project, maybe the percentage is very high. In a big project, the percentage may be lower. But whether you concentrate on percentage or whether you concentrate on income amount, absolute measures are not there. Whenever any method is percentage based, that is called relative. Percentage. They are not giving you which project is big or small. They are not the absolute measure. Calculation of target ARR is subjective. There is no formula to calculate target ARR. ARR does not take into account the risk and uncertainty. We are not thinking that the profit average, we are calculating whether the profit will be arising or not. What are the chances the profit may be lower? We are not analyzing anything. It is an average measure, so does not consider relative life. I mean to say that always whenever you calculate average, actual will never be equal to average. Actual will be different than average. The average annual profit used to calculate here is unlikely to arise. Actual profit will always be different. I'm not discussing relevant cash flow for the time being. They are discussing relevant cash flows. But just that payback method. The time period, I have not discussed the relevant cash flow. Relevant cash flow we will discuss in the next class. Slightly different. There is no change in the syllabus, but slightly different. थोड़ा तो अलग है यार. So we will refer to 2021. My team will give. Don't worry. There is no change in the syllabus since 2016. That is not a worry. The time period in which initial investment gets recovered, known as payback period, the number of years of the cash outlay to be matched by cash inflow for constant cash flows. That is, every year the cash inflow are same. That is initial investment by every year. Suppose 1 lakh is the investment, and in the project I will be getting 10,000 every year. So 1 lakh by 10,000, 10 years is the payback. But if the average cash in money, every year the cash inflow are not same, then we need to calculate payback properly. How we decide whether the project should be accepted or not? Simple. If the payback period in the project is less than the payback period which the company want, then the project is accepted. Suppose in Saraf Academy, the payback period should be within 5 years. I am going to do a project in which payback period will be 4 years. I will accept. But in a project payback period will be 6 years. I will reject. I will not accept. If payback period is more than target payback period, reject the project. The advantage, it is simple. It is also understandable to any type of person. Payback method can also be used as a basic screening device for going into detailed analysis NPV IRR. First of all, with the payback, you can decide whether I should be doing detailed analysis or not. It consider cash flow rather than profit, so no manipulation. Payback period indirectly avoid risk as risk is zero, risk is less. Whenever you are getting your money as early as possible, risk is less. In the situation of capital rationing means scarcity of capital. Payback period is one of the best method. It does not consider a time value of money. We are investing money now. We will be getting money first year, second year, third year. But we are not thinking time value of money. It does not consider whole life. As Ayush was saying that, sir, we don't want income, but we are not considering in payback period what is the income and all that. There are no specific criteria rule to decide what should be the payback period. It may lead to excessive investment in short-term projects. It does not consider risk and uncertainty specifically. You can say that money you are getting earlier, that's risk averse already, but separate risk analysis we are not doing, which we do in NPV IRR. It does not focus on shareholders' wealth maximization, since it is not focusing what income we are getting. Life expectancy of the project is ignored. Maybe you are getting your money back in 2 years, but the project is of 10 years, 20 years, you are not considering. Project with same payback period may have different cash flows. Maybe in a project you are investing 1,000, payback is 2 years. In another project you are investing 1 million, in payback period is 2 years. So you are not considering that 2 years is okay, but they are very, very different projects. Just 5 minutes more. Initial investment in a project is 80,000. In a project, initial investment 80,000. Life of the project is 6 years. and project generating equal cash inflows of 20,000. 80,000 we are investing. The project is of 6 years. For every year we will be getting 20,000. If target payback period of the company is 5 years, the company should be getting back their money in 5 years, whether the project should be feasible or not. So the payback period here is 80,000 divided by 20,000. 80,000 is the investment. Every year we will be getting 20,000. 80,000 by 20,000. 4 years. And the target is 5. We are getting less than that. So the project is feasible. As per the company's risk criteria, the project is acceptable. Calculate payback period using non-discounting. We have not understood discounting at all. We have not understood cash flow calculation. Comment whether the accepted or rejected. We will accept. Initial investment 5,000. Project life 5 years. For the year, cash flows of the project Z are 2,000, 1,500, this. If target payback period 7 years, whether the project should be feasible. 5,000 we are investing. First year we will be getting 2,000. Second year 1,500, so 3,500. Third year 1,000, 4,500. Fourth year 500, 5,000. When the amount is not same, then you cannot do 5,000 by 2,000. Then you need to check that where the total investment is fully covered. 2,000 first year, second year 1,500, 3,500, third year 1,000, 4,500, fourth year 500. Total is still 4 years, but it is not by formula 80 by 20. You can't do. You need to add up all the cash inflows, see that where they are crossing 5,000. So here also it is 4 years. The company's target is 7 years. The project is acceptable. The last one for today's class. Initial investment in project 10,000. Project life is 5 years. For the year, cash flows from the project are 5, 1, 15, 12, 50, 2,000. If target payback period of the company is 4 years, whether the project should be accepted. 5 plus 1, 6, plus 1,500, 7,500, plus 1,250, 8,750, plus 2,000, 10,750. So what is the payback period? In 4 years it is 8,750. In 5 years it is 10,750. So what is the payback period? In 4 years 5,000 plus 1,000 plus 1,500 plus 1,250. It is coming 8,750. No, not feasible, not. I am asking what is the payback period in this example? What is the payback period in this example? 5 years. Can we say? So Gautam is saying 5 years. But in 5 years, Gautam, we are getting 10,750. But we need to get 10,000. So it is not 5 year. And it is not 4 year. Because in 4 year, we are getting 8,750. In 4 year, we are getting 8,750. How much amount is still left? In 4 year, we are getting 8,750. How much amount is still left? How much amount is still left to be covered? 750. Now in 5th year, that is in 1 year, we are getting 2,000. In 5th year, 1,250. 1,250 we want to still recover. In 5th year, that is in 1 year. 5th year is 1 year. In 5th year, 1 year, we are getting 2,000. So 1,250 in how many years? Unitary method. 1 by 2,000, the whole thing into 1,250. 2,000 in 1 year. So 1,250 in how many years? 2,000 in 1 year. So 1,250 in how many years? It will be coming 0.625. So the exact payback period is 4.625. The 4 years plus 2,000 in 1 year. So 1,250 in how many years? So it is 4.625. Can we say 4.625 as 4 years and 0.625 months? Can we say 4 year and 0.625 year? No, because in 1 year it's 12 months. So in 0.625 year, 0.625 into 12. 0.625 into 12 will be giving you 7.5 months. So either you say 4.625 year or you say 4 years and 7.5 months. You can't say 4 year and 0.625 months. It is not allowed. Because 1 year is having 12 months. So 0.625 into 12 will give you 7.5 months. So it is 4 year and 7.5 months. There are three examples. One is 80,000 by 20,000. The another one is exactly 4 year. But in the third example, it is not coming exactly 4 years and approximation calculation. Now in the book's formula is written. That is the cash flow ऊपर में into 1 into the balance. What's the formula, man? It's not a formula. It's a simple thing which we are saying. 2,000 in 1 year, then 12, 15, how many year? What you need to do? You need to check that where it is becoming positive. Where your 10,000 is fully converted. Is it in this year? That means it is 4 year plus. How many plus? That 2,000 you are getting in 1 year. So balance 12, 15, how many year? That way you will be able to calculate exactly. Whether they ask questions in exam on exact payback period many times. Whether the student do mistakes many times. I will say that if a student is doing mistake in calculating payback period, then there is a big issue with the student understanding. Just one more second. Suppose there is an example on return on capital employed or ARR also. A project involves the immediate purchase of an item of plant costing 1,10,000. It would generate annual cash flows of 24,400 for 5 years. Starting in year 1. The plant purchased would have a scrap value of 10,000 in 5 years. When the project terminates, depreciation is on a straight line basis. Determine ROC based on initial capital cost, based on average capital cost. Can anybody tell me what will be the ROC? Accounting rate of return or return on capital employed, same thing. ARR or ROCE? Can anybody say? ARR or ROCE? First of all, ARR is not dependent on cash flow. It is dependent on profit. But they are giving you the cash flow 24,400. Cash flow is without deducting depreciation because depreciation is not a cash flow. But profit will be after deducting depreciation. So 1,10,000 is the asset value. 10,000 is the salvage value. So 1 lakh divided by 5 because the project is 5 years. Every year depreciation is 20,000. So 24,400 is after deducting 20,000 depreciation. So if I will calculate profit, not cash flow, then the profit will be 24,400 plus 20,000. That is 44,400. Here they have given you cash flow, but you need to convert cash flow into profit. Profit is after deducting depreciation, but cash flow is without deducting depreciation. Sorry, I am saying wrong. 24,400 minus 20,000. 24,400 minus 20,000. Because in 24,400 depreciation is not deducted, which is not a cash flow. But in profit we need to deduct 20,000, so 4,400. Sorry. 1 lakh divided by 5, which is 20,000 depreciation. So profit is 4,400. Each year 4,400. Average is 4,400. So if you divide by initial investment 1,10,000, then ARR is 4,400 by 1,10,000. If you divide by average investment, then average investment is 1,10,000 plus 10,000 divided by 2. That is 1,10,000 plus 10, 120 by 2, 60,000. So with average investment 4,400 by 60,000, with initial investment 4,400 by 1,10,000. If I will solve point number A, then it is 4,400 by 10,000. If I will solve on the basis of point number B, then it is 4,400 by 60,000. Problem remaining silent in exam, we should be dividing by average investment only, not initial capital. Average we should be doing if problem remains silent. They have written that one second. In the examination, it is important that you can discuss the feature of ROC as an investment. That's other thing. They have written in the notes that in the exam, nothing is mentioned, then you will be doing with the average investment. Sometimes they will confuse you with the profit and cash flow. I have not discussed how to calculate cash flow. I have not discussed relevant cash flow calculation. That will take time. For that reason, I have kept this for the next day class. But in basic, what is accounting rate of return? What is payback period? What is investment appraisal? A basic understanding about finance. That was my objective. My objective is not solving the problems today. My objective is to give you a feeling, the financial management and the basic investment techniques. Sometimes they give profit, you need to convert into cash flow. Sometimes they give cash flow, you need to convert it into profit. I am saying that cash flow means what? Money comes, money goes out. But profit means what? After deducting all the expenditure, no concerned with cash flow. They are saying 24,400 is your cash flow. But profit is after deducting depreciation. Cash flow, depreciation is not a cash flow. So 24,400 is calculated without deducting depreciation. But profit will be calculated after deducting depreciation. For depreciation, they have given you the knowledge that 1,10,000 is the asset value. 10,000 will be the salvage value after 5 years. So every year depreciation will be 1,10,000 minus 10,000 divided by 5. That is 20,000. So the profit will be after deducting 20,000 from the cash flow. So the cash flow is 24,400 minus 20,000 depreciation. So the balance figure is coming 4,400. That 4,400 is profit. Now we want to calculate ARR. We need to have profit. Every year profit is same, 4,400, 4,400, 4,400. So if you add 4,400 5 times divided by 5, it will come 4,400 only. So average profit is 4,400 divided by initial investment 110 divided by average investment 110 plus 10 divided by 2. Average investment is initial investment plus salvage value by 2. So with A, it is 4,400 by 1,10,000. With B, it is 4,400 by 60,000. So many times in the question, either they will give cash flow or they will give profit. You need to convert profit into cash flow. You need to convert cash flow into profit. I have not discussed anything how to calculate cash flow. This question will be in not in part C, objective type. No calculation required. Whatever calculation you are doing, you need to keep with yourself only. The examiner is concerned only with the correct answer. Because this type of question will not come in essay type questions. So how you are doing, I will say that you should be doing verbally. Or maybe in the calculator, you can do if your verbal calculations are not strong. Okay, 24 minus 20. Do we need to strictly follow the format? No format. It's upon you. I will say that the previous, whatever questions I discussed today, they will not be in the part C exam. Not essay type. They are objective type. आपका calculation का कोई मतलब ही नहीं. What calculation you are doing, nobody is concerned in the exam. They are just concerned 4.6 to 5 year. That's all. How you are getting, how fast you are getting, that they are concerned. And as far as calculation is concerned, I will be doing some questions, not today, in the next class, where I will be showing that faster calculation can be done like this. But today my objective is not that. Because today the time is used in understanding that what is the syllabus and everything. That took around 1 hour. So that part I lost. Na? Otherwise I could have done that calculation. No issue. As I said, how to study. Don't start trying new problems. Just after the class is over, you will think that I have understood everything. Everybody. If you are a brilliant student, then also do the recording again with a speed of 1.5. Then do the questions again, which we have done in the class. Then do new questions if you get time. Even in new question, I have not discussed cash flow calculations and all that. I will discuss cash flow calculation, relevant cash flow, everything in the next class. That will take time. That cannot be done in 5 minutes. Okay. So leaving for today, meeting on Friday. Thank you to all of you. Take care. Study hard. Tada.